Welcome back to another Luxury Fridays. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. We took a break last week. We're actually in Las Vegas at an amazing conference for the Real Estate Alliance. So welcome back. Friday here. And we have a special guest coming on here in a little bit. But just a reminder, you're in the right place. All things real estate. Although we focus on luxury, we will answer any questions non-luxury related. So thank you again for jumping on here. There's just a lot of misconceptions going on out there in the marketplace right now. So we're going to cover a bunch of various topics. But a couple things that I want to remind you on is number one, from a show standpoint, if you guys have a question, type it in the comment section. We can bring you on camera. Literally, we can bring you on camera as well. Just type it in the comment section. I'll put that in here now. So if you guys want to literally come on, you don't need to download anything. Those of you that are watching on Instagram, the best way for you to interact and see the guests when they come on here in a few minutes is to go to our YouTube channel, go to YouTube and go to Marketing Luxury Group, hit that red subscribe button, and you'll see this live stream live right now. Again, I'll check our Instagram as well through our phone, but the best way to be more interactive is join our live stream. Again, I'm your host, Michael LaFido. A couple things we want to cover today. Number one, we're going to talk about new and creative ways to buy or sell your vacation home or your second property. That's what we're going to be talking about with our guests today. But before we do that, just a couple reminders. Number one, there's a lot of negativity right now on the marketplace, a lot of downward pressure. Consumer confidence is the highest because inflation and midterm elections and everything else going on. So just a reminder that life is what drives real estate. And that is something that I just want to remind everybody who the president is or what's going on in Ukraine and all gas prices. Those are all things that can create momentum or confidence or some downward pressure. There's no doubt about it. But do not, as an agent, do not let the media control the narrative. Don't let the media control the narrative as far as doom and gloom. A couple things that I want to talk about. Number one is buying a home today might be a better financial move today than a year ago, even though today rates are twice the amount what they were a year ago, right? So a year ago, rates are around 3%, maybe below 3%. Now they're 6.5%. Why would I say it might be smarter to buy a home today, a better investment today than a year ago, even though interest rates are twice as high? That's what I want to first talk about. So a year ago, a $300,000 home in most markets, you'd be in a multiple offer situation. I say 300, fill in the blank, 500,000, 700,000. In many markets, you'd be in a multiple offer situation, 3, 5, 10, 15 offers, people making offers sight unseen, people making offers 10, 15% above asking price. And so if you bought a home a year ago and that was you don't have as much equity, right? So during turbulent times, homes might not appreciate as high. And so when you go to sell, or if you go to sell in the next 3, 5, 7 years, you're going to have less equity if you bought a home at the height because you're in a multiple offer situation. Where if you buy a home today, chances are you're not going to be in a multiple offer situation in many markets. Chances are you might actually get it below asking price. So you'll have more instant equity when you go to sell in 3 to 5 to 7 years today versus a year or two ago. So that's really important for you to understand that concept. So yeah, you might be paying more per month at 7% or 6.5% interest rate than you were at 2.5 or 3% interest rate, but you have less equity. You also had to put more money down, right? So 20% on on 550,000 is a lot more than 20% on 485. If a home's listed at 500 and you're getting it for 485 today versus 550 a year ago. So again, less out of pocket and more appreciation. I believe in many cases that might outweigh rate. So don't worry, you can always refinance the rate when they come back down. So that's something I want to cover today. So if that was helpful, let us know. For those of you that are watching the replay, you are watching Luxury Fridays. Luxury Fridays, again, we have tons of free resources out there, including our podcast. We just released our 210th podcast today, our 210th podcast. We had a couple out of Florida, and they put together amazing luxury retreats for their agents. And we came down to Florida and taught one of our classes within a 17,000 square foot mansion. Again, type your questions into the comment section. That's how we can interact with you. And a couple of reminders, our next designation event is literally going to be coming up. We're excited about it. It is in literally 38 days and 23 hours. 38 days and 23 hours. Let me share that with you. That is our next designation event. It's going to be in Houston. So you can join me live in Houston in 38 days and 23 hours by going to luxurydesignation.com. And literally, it's going to be a $300 off ticket thanks to sponsors. The Houston Association of Realtors is hosting, and thanks to sponsors, we have $300 off for everybody, and you're going to get over $2,000 in bonus items. So that's going to be really important, and we're really excited that you guys hopefully will be coming down and joining us down there. I do want to remind you on a couple other things as well. Our podcast, as I mentioned earlier, our luxury listing podcast this is what that looks like, and this is our guest that we had. Tamara and Emmett Combs were our 210th episode. So again, the topic for today, our guest is in the studio, and I'm going to be bringing on Orlando here in a minute. But the topic for today is, as the market shifts, especially in some of these markets where secondary homes are really popular, right? Your Florida, your Californias, and some of these jet set destinations. What can you do as a seller? To maybe get more exposure, to be more creative? And what can you do as a buyer, perhaps, to leverage your assets in multiple ways? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before I bring my guest on, just a reminder, again, if you guys have questions for our guest, please type them in your chat. For those of you that are watching a replay, you can literally shoot me an email. I'm putting my email address on the screen right now, and we'll make sure we connect you with our guest. And he'll leave his information here in a bit as well. So again, type in your questions. Let us know where you're watching from. Again, we took a week off last week because we were in Vegas. I was in Vegas earlier this week for another conference, the Rise Conference, and I'm speaking in Vegas again next week. 3 weeks back to back to back. That's why my voice is probably raspy. Being in those casinos probably doesn't help. So with that being said, we got a lot of different topics that we're coming out with, various guests on our podcast, various guests on our show. If you think you would be a great guest for our show, our Luxury Fridays, our live stream, or our podcast, just shoot me an email. You see it on the screen. And do me a favor, if you're getting value from these Luxury Fridays, if you're getting value from our book or our podcast, don't keep it a secret. If we've earned a 5-star review, please let us know. All right. So last week I was at the Real Estate Alliance conference. It was amazing. It was out in Vegas, and so I was a speaker out there, and I was also and let me pull up our Facebook so you guys can see this here. I was a speaker out there, and I was actually a sponsor out there as well. And we had a booth, and it was a lot of fun. And It's a great event. Great event. I highly recommend it. Next year, it's going to be in uh, Houston next week. Next year, their conference is going to be in Houston, and there's a picture of me on stage last week at the Alliance conference. Uh, I had my own little booth going on there, and I was right next to booth 31. I was right next to booth 31 there. And what was booth 31? Well, I'm going to, rather than tell you about what booth 31 is, I'm going to bring on booth 31 himself. Okay, Orlando Ramirez, are you there, Orlando?
I am here, Michael. How are you?
Good, and Orlando, I should say, not
I like
Orlando.
that.
I'm,
No,
you
thank
know,
you.
that's that white suburban Caucasian in me. Forgive me for that, Orlando. Uh, so thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's so great to meet you. And that conference was fantastic. I myself have lost my voice a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's great to be in person and connect and share stories, share opportunities. And I like networking with people. We learn from each other. And I left really motivated and knowing that we have a product market fit and a need for industries, which is always great and validating.
Oh yeah, you guys certainly do at Pacaso, and I'm going to real quick. I want to show everybody who Orlando is with. So he's with. If you go to Pacaso.com, you'll find out more information. But I I wanted to show on the screen their website. Pictures worth 1,000 words, right? So second home ownership, fractional ownership. I don't want to confuse the audience yet, but it's a great way to sell. It's a creative way to buy, as particularly in some of these secondary home, these jet set destination places. So we're going to talk with Orlando today, but I have literally in the comments section, I typed it in ahead of time. But the best way to do it is just go to Pacaso.com, Pacaso.com. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But Orlando, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what your role is at Pacaso. I believe you're the Director of Industry Relations, is your official title.
That's exactly right, Michael. Yeah, I've been in the industry for a little over 17 years. I started off at franchising and opening franchises for Keller Williams Corporate. So that was our growth phase, and I opened about 175 franchises or market centers at that time. Came from the restaurant franchising side before that, so learned a lot about the expectations of a broker, of an agent, lead generation. Technology became a huge part of my business and understanding. Then went on to work for a tech site and a CRM with Market Leader. We were acquired by Trulia, Zillow. Worked with .loop for a while. So I've been working and supporting and servicing the real estate industry for over 17 years. And then up came Pacaso, a new way to buy and sell second homes, an innovative way that made a lot of sense. My job is to provide opportunity and help others grow. And so the founders of Zillow and .loop, who are no longer there, started this company called Pacaso. And it just made a lot of sense for, again, servicing and for a new way for an agent or broker to engage with their clients, generate more inventory and generate more leads and more business, and adding to specifically the luxury side, which I'm really excited to talk about because, Michael, this is where it ties into you, and this market is continuing to grow even through this shift and just generates new opportunity. So that's a little bit of my background.
No, that's great. I appreciate the background. And tell me, you mentioned secondary home ownership. You know, if somebody has a primary home in one of these exotic properties, or excuse me, places, would they be a good fit?
Yeah. So yeah, in general, where Picasso focuses on second home ownership and co-ownership. Pre-pandemic, there was about 7.5 million homes that existed in the U.S. 2 years later, there's over 10 million second homes that exist in the U.S. And so what we have found that typically people live in their second home 3 to 6 weeks out of the year. And Picasso found an opportunity is like, how do you create that experience where your sustainability is a part of it? Right now, we're 2 years this month since Pacaso launched. And so people are living in our homes 90% of the time. And so now thinking about those 10 million homes, what is it? What we've created is an opportunity for 8 people to own one home where it's true ownership is deeded on the back end, and you're going to still stay in that home the amount of time you would have if you're only the 3 to 6 weeks a year. So 1/8 share, a quarter share, or up to half share ownership. And so you're still, again, creating that opportunity for you to experience and stay in your vacation home and still own that home and have that. And then having 8 people own one house versus 8 homes that are empty 10 months out of the year.
Yeah, and unlike timeshares, you own the actual house where an eighth or a half or a quarter of the house, where you can sell that portion to
Yep.
somebody else, and if the home appreciates, you take part in that appreciation, correct?
That's exactly right. I'm glad you call that out. These homes, as you can see on this website right now, these are single family property homes. So you're not in a condo, you're not in a hotel, and you're not in fixed time. You're not staying like the first week and second week of the month or the same time of year. It's tech enabled in the back end. So you're able to stay as many, you can hold 6 reservations up to 2 years in advance. So not typical to a timeshare, and you do have ownership. So like when you would sell your home, you sell your home 2 years from now, you sell whatever it's appreciated at that time. And so we do let the other shareholders know, hey, there's an opportunity that's come up. Somebody's selling their share. Typically, people like their home so much they want to invest in another share or maybe tell their best friend about it. And so then the resale part, this is where I love this model because the agent's a part of throughout the entire process. From the beginning, when we purchase homes, we're a buyer. So you represent us as a buyer in these markets. And then when we resell, if you brought us that buyer, that resale, you get a 1% commission for the life of that account. So there's wonderful ways to be a part of this and introduce a new way to buy a second home.
I'm on your website right now. I clicked on this property there in Seagate, 858,000. So it's letting me know in this case it's 1/8 ownership, correct?
That's exactly right. I love that property in particular. I've been to it. I know some of the owners from there. And so that's exactly, it's 1/8. So your buying power is more. If you think about this, especially in the shifting market where people are concerned that they may not want to, and most of these buyers, by the way, can't afford the entire home. We also offer up to 70% financing through Pacaso, which is unheard of in second home ownership. So we offer up to 70% financing. That 1/8 share is exactly that amount. So we potentially up to 8 owners, but you can buy an eighth, a quarter, or up to half. So it just doubles up. And the difference there is the amount of time you get to stay. So you get to choose the right size of house you want and the right amount of vacation time you want in those areas. But that's a good example. It's right by the water, gorgeous home. You get more buying power and have a better experience. And it's, again, sustainability is super important for us.
Oh, that's great. So who's your ideal candidate? So let's talk sellers. Let's talk buyers first. So I have a property in what are the states that you're most predominant that you focus on, or hey, we only work in these states? Are you open to all states, or hey, this is where we're really focusing on?
I'm glad you brought that up. So we're in 40 destination markets globally, not just in the US. We're also in London, Spain, and Cabo. We just launched Mexico. Cabo houses they're all beautiful. But we're focused on the coastal areas and mountains. So mostly beach areas or ski resort mountain areas. So the hottest markets we're in right now are South Florida. We're in Charleston and Tilton Head Island, and then most of California, and then all of Colorado, and I'd say also Lake Tahoe. So the Bay Area is pretty heavy because we're in Napa. So those are the heaviest, biggest areas we're in. If you go to Pacaso.com, you'll see that the markets that we're in each location. We're growing into more markets. Our goal is to make second home ownership possible and enjoyable for more people. And so as we scale and get into those markets, it takes a while because we hire in local employees. We have in-house property management. So we have a home manager that lives in market in these homes. So we can't grow as fast. But to your question, do you have a listing and you think, oh man, this is a perfect second home for Pacaso? We have an amazing acquisitions team. If you email acquisitions@pacaso.com, somebody from that team in that region will get back to you. We have a buy box. I can share a blog with you. We wrote this beautiful blog on our site that kind of lets you know what we're looking for. Because in co-ownership, we're looking for something bigger, 5 bedrooms at minimum, 3 to 4 baths, walking distance to the ocean, or close enough to a ski lift, you're going to go skiing. These are requirements that we're looking for. So while you may think it is a perfect house that people would love, but the location, we all know location is super important. This is important for us. And then it's also important that we move into places where second co-ownership is welcomed by the community, by the local government affairs team, making sure that we can grow into those areas to make sure that that buyer is going to move into a beautiful property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Very
that
good.
acquisitions team is where you go.
Okay, good. Good. So 2 years, you guys are celebrating your 2 year anniversary coming up. Uh, in select markets, you were very thorough in that explanation. I appreciate it. And if anybody has questions, go to the website, right? There's learn listings, agents, contact. Probably the best way to go straight to Pacaso.com. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And the top right, you'll see agents. This is, again, I said, a very agent centric model. And the top right, you can sign up to the newsletter, get more information of locations. You basically, our listings are your listings. So no matter where you're located, wherever you're dialing in from today and listening in, we pay a full 3% referral commission no matter where the buyer is looking. So not addition just to the listing property, but a buyer. Let's say you have a buyer and you're looking in Florida and you're in Chicago. So we have people that go down from New York down in Florida all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you send that referral to us on that site. You connect a referral. We have an agent dashboard that we just launched. So we keep you involved throughout the entire process. We know it's your client. We want to wow them and keep you involved with that transaction. You connect them to one of our sales reps in Florida, and we pay that 3% commission no matter where that property is located. And that's a unique way. I think Pacaso helps you become a global agent because now you can sell across your state lines no matter where that buyer is looking.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? That's one of the benefits of this industry. I'm a licensed agent only here in the state of Illinois, but my consulting business and my referrals are all across the globe, and it sounds like Pacaso does the same. So that's terrific. Let's see. Anybody have any questions here? If you guys have questions, just a reminder, please type in your questions to the chat feature, no matter which platform you're watching it on. We'll see it in real time. You don't have to download anything. It's a great software that we're using. So just type in your questions in the comment section. Again, you are based down, you're personally, where's home for you?
Austin, Texas, and El Paso, Texas are the two areas I live in during the pandemic. It brought me home after 25 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, well,
yeah, but Austin. Michael, I want to share something because you talked about creative ways in buying and selling. We also have this program called a sell down program. It's not just the current, think about the database and the luxury homes you have sold that are second homes that your clients own. And you know that they're not there. So I'm going to say, Michael, you own a property in Southern California. I'm going to say you and your family are there 3 weeks out of the year. What would it look like for I to say, hey, Michael, would you consider selling your home to Pacaso or your home become a part of Pacaso? Because at that point, you get to keep as many shares as you want. And we remove the headache of the property management company, the handling of just making sure your property is ready, stay ready. So now we're putting money back into your pocket. You're still keeping your home and you and your family are still vacationing there. And so now as the agent, I'm going to say, hey, Michael, I also know that you and your family like to go skiing. What if you owned a second home and an additional second home in Vail, Colorado? So there's another creative way to sell down your home where you're putting money back into the homeowner and they're still getting to enjoy the home. And they're either keeping that money, investing it differently, or buying an additional second home in other locations. We have multiple owners that have done that today. It's been a great experience, especially during a shifting market where people may be concerned or want to gain that equity at the front end at the price point they can sell at now. There's just different ways to introduce this model that would have to fit in our buy box and the Pacaso of what we're looking to buy and sell. But just think about your current database.
Yeah, I like that.
And how to leverage that.
Yeah, out of curiosity, in that situation, can somebody 1031 exchange? If they own a exotic property and they pull $1 million out because they're selling half in shares, can they take that and buy into another Pacaso property and avoid taxes?
Oh, that's a really good question. I have to ask my accounting team for that specifically. Yeah, that's a really great one. But I know that it has happened where they have purchased multiple locations, right?
Yeah.
And so they see the benefit from that. We have a wonderful FAQ on our site at Pacaso as well. If you have any questions, typically I can probably type that right now and get that answer for you. But we do have an entire blog that we've written about the benefits around second home ownership and taxes and how this benefits you. So we create content for you so you can better share with your database to answer those questions that they may or may not have.
Good. So again, I have Pacaso up here. You got the three little squiggly lines. You do the drop down, and there's a lot of options there. One of is the FAQs, which I clicked on. Now let me ask you on. Um, I asked you about the Pacaso. I asked you about the FAQs. What else was I going to ask you? I know it was at the tip of my tongue. And tell me about uh, NFTs, crypto, blockchain. Um, that was a big buzzword. There was a breakout session on Monday when I was in Vegas talking about blockchain. Are you guys experiencing any potential buyers?
Absolutely. It is a conversation we welcome it. Crypto is a way to purchase Pacaso. And I think we've actually had maybe two individuals that have taken advantage of that.
Okay.
And so we announced that earlier this year. It was something new that our team created. It was an ask, especially in the Bay Area. And then even from millennials, it's interesting when you think who's buying these days and how do we make this available to more people, again, reaching our goal. And yeah, that is something we will definitely work with you. And we can connect you with one of our sales reps or even our accounting team should you have any questions of what that looks like. But definitely welcome and super excited that that's available to us.
That's great.
Use your crypto and purchase a share.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, great question. We're definitely innovating and involved. Innovating as we're growing, accommodating to the buyers. I'll tell you, Michael, it's so great to hear from the owners themselves. These are people that have owned second homes before and sold them because it was a headache for the maintenance, the upkeep. We don't allow rentals, so the people that are living in the home keeps the integrity of the home. We don't, but it's still your home. So if you want your best friend to come over, or maybe you have a client, you want to have them stay at your house, you can stay there. You just can't get money in exchange for it.
Sure.
Also, neighbors are tired of the Airbnb or VRBO. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but in these certain neighborhoods, on this price point we're looking at, between 2 million to about 22 million, they take also 2 days to clean up and get ready. So the in-between stays, our home managers, it wouldn't be the best thing to Airbnb them. So it's only the owners and those areas that
they take more pride in it. So the neighbor realizes, hey, this is not just some rental where they're going to throw a big old bash here, but no, they're going to take pride in it.
Exactly right. There's pride in that home ownership, and we love that experience. So yeah, going back to that comment where now those own friends, think about, let's just say you do have a client that does end up purchasing a Pacaso. We have done something with client appreciation where it's like, Michael, you and 10 of your closest friends were inviting you over, and Pacaso will throw a nice dinner for you, and the agent gets to be there with us, and we'll tell their guests about the experience. You're living it, touching it, feeling it. And everyone else, that we will get 2 to 3 buyers that buy that way, and those all come referrals through you, and we pay you that 3% referral commission from that family.
Yeah, I noticed. So no, that's great. So I got Orlando Ramirez here with Pacaso. For those of you that are just tuning in or watching a replay, I got the URL. I'll throw it on here right now. Pacaso.com. Pacaso.com. Type in your questions for Orlando or myself. And we'll be sure to answer those. Again, we're coming to you live. This is our Luxury Fridays. The Luxury Fridays, Orlando, we launch this for agents, broker owners, team leaders. It's brand agnostic, open for everybody. We do from time to time get questions from consumers because we're streaming it on multiple platforms. So
Great.
We talk about everything from the market to interest rates to what's working, what's not working. Right now, school obviously is in session. The leaves are changing in much of the Midwest and the East Coast and the cooler, climates, the fall climates. And so one of the things that I want to remind people of is if you have a seller that approaches you and says, should we list now or should we wait till 2023 and put it on in the spring? My recommendation is don't wait till 2023. One, you don't know what's going to happen in the future with inflation and everything. Home price might be worth less in 6 months and 9 months than it is today. But more importantly, two, is You know, the great one, Wayne Gretzky once says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so if somebody's actively looking in October for a home and your home's not on the market, guess what? They're buying the guy up the street and not yours. And so
Yeah.
again, if you need to sell, don't wait, put it on now. But you do have one time for a first impression, just a reminder for everybody. So do the things that your competition isn't willing to do. You know, Orlando, one of the things that we have a $2.5 million property we're going to be putting on here in the next week or two. And gorgeous home, 5,300 square feet, has a concrete roof. And I'm a little OCD about first impressions. So the home had some, I wouldn't say deferred maintenance issues, but to the naked eye, to the inexperienced buyer or the inexperienced buyer's agent, they would think there was deferred maintenance because there was some moss and mildew kind of growing on the concrete roof on the north portion of the house where the sun
Hmm.
never beats on, and just some flaking paint and that kind of stuff. So you got one time to make a first impression. Literally a month later, we're still doing some things to get it ready to launch, so to speak, and
Yes.
that's really important. So,
Super important. Agreed.
anything you'd like to add on that topic or anything else?
Yeah, what you just mentioned is important. So the way consumers are purchasing, we've seen, particularly in the second home market, COVID, the pandemic has really shifted the way we think and the expectation of the consumer and the buyer. So, one thing we noticed is what the traditional places where people would stay to vacation. No, these second homes, they want drivable. We call it like off market, like off Broadway show. It's not necessarily in Broadway, it's off Broadway. So the buyer is buying in areas that they traditionally wouldn't, and off season. So we're seeing 90% occupancy, that people are staying in their homes. So if they're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, they're not just there to ski, they're going to enjoy the Teton Mountains during the summer. So no matter what the weather, inclement weather may be at the time, like they're still purchasing year round, because the way we work, we have a distributed workforce. So people are living in different climates and different areas year round now, not just seasonal. And that's been a big shift. So if you're concerned that, hey, maybe this is not the right time, I see differently, because the way we're selling our homes, on average, our goal is to sell them within 90 days, and we're hitting those in those hot markets.
It's
So we thought people were not buying, they are buying.
that's a really good point. I appreciate that insight. So, uh, you guys, the best way to, I would recommend for those that are watching, if you have remote interest to learn up on Picasso's, go to the website. They got an FAQ section. They'll find out more. Additionally, Orlando, I'm going to type in your email in case anybody wants to get in touch with you as well.
Absolutely.
And I want to make sure here. Sorry, I think I have it up properly. So make sure that is that correct?
That is correct. Ramirez at Pacaso.com. Absolutely. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And if you're listening in, if you're a broker or an agent, we would gladly jump. We'd love to be a part of your next team meeting. We need about 15 minutes. We'll just explain the model, because we don't expect for you to remember all of it, but we'll do a presentation for your entire office just to let you know exactly how you can work with Pacaso, how it's agent centric, and how you can generate more revenue with us. The past 2 years, we've already given out over $21 million in GCI on just referrals, and I'd like to see that number to be higher.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of that number come from Illinois personally.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's
For
great.
sure.
Well, hey, listen, Orlando, I appreciate your time and your expertise today. We're talking about creative ways to buy or sell your second home, and in specific markets, right? Not everywhere, but
For sure.
you guys are looking at where are the desires, supply and demand, right? So there's a demand in
Exactly.
those particular areas more so than others, and so that's the business model. I appreciate you coming on today, and you and I will circle back because I want to share with you some other things that we had talked about in Vegas.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us, and looking forward to connecting and connecting with many people as possible. Thanks
I
again.
appreciate your flexibility and filling in for our other guests that had something come up. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, take care. Have a great weekend too.
Thank you.
All right. So continuing on, Michael LaFido here. He was a great guest and shared a lot of great insights on creativity, and that's what we're trying to do: is give you creative ways additional value to bring to your buyer clients, your seller clients, your referring clients, right? And so that's one of the resources I wanted to cover today. Again, just a couple of reminders. You got to know these three numbers. You got to know how many homes have sold this year versus last year for your given market. You got to know that number. Okay, is it trending upward, downward, or is it balanced? Number two, days on the market. How are days on the market now versus previously? Days on the market. And number three is list. What kind of inventory? Are you in a buyer's market, a neutral market, or a seller's market? So how many months of inventory there are? So again, the three numbers that agents need to know, not just today, because you need to control the narrative. Don't let the media control the narrative with the doom and gloom. These are the three things that you need to know. Number one, how many homes have sold this year versus last year? Number two, days on the market today versus previously, and days on market is number two, and number three is how many months of inventory there are. Are you in a buyer's market, a balanced market, or a seller's market? Seller's market is less than 4 months. Balanced market is 5 or 6, and a buyer's market is when there's 7 or more months. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Type them in. And just a reminder, success leaves clues. We're always looking to bring on guests, contributors, something. If you're doing something different or unique, we want to hear about it. My name is Michael LaFido, and I just want to remind you our next in-person luxury designation training is coming up. It's going to be in Houston. We have $300 off. It's going to be an exciting, thanks to sponsors. And literally, you just go to luxurydesignation.com, luxurydesignation.com. I'm typing that in to the feature. If you go to luxurydesignation.com, you'll find out all the information that you need, including the dates, the locations. November 15th in the Galleria portion of Houston, and we're really excited about that. That'll be our 6th in-person LUXE designation training. We're certifying agents in luxury, whether they're with the independent or a large franchise, whether they've sold luxury before or not. Check out our website, check out our podcast, and if you guys have any questions, let us know. Again, if you are watching a replay of this, please shoot us an email with any questions you have, Michael at Marketing Luxury Group. My name is Michael LaFido. We will be back next Friday, same time, same place on Luxury Fridays. Until then, I appreciate everybody. Make it a great day. You have always something to be thankful for. It could always be worse. I'm coaching my son's football teams. There's a young man that has cancer. He's only 12 years old, and we're fighting for Ben. We're praying for Ben, and it could always be worse. So remember how lucky you have it. And by the way, continue to be the change that you seek. Build others up and turn off the news. They want to divide you and they want to divide me. With that being said, my name is Michael LaFido. Until next time, make it a great day. Take care.